Hi, and welcome to the first ever Release to Thrive podcast episode. So, I am super excited to have you here. This is something I've been wanting to do for about 3 years now. I was thinking about it earlier today, and it has been 3 years since I quit my job and started my coaching business full time and really dove in off the deep end when I really didn't know what I was going to be doing in terms of like how to actually run a business or how to reach people, but I just was super passionate. And I have a note in my phone that actually talked all about this podcast called Release to Thrive that I was planning to start. And so it only took me 3 years and here we are. As anyone who knows me knows, I move very slowly sometimes. So this is just a summary of that, basically. Very slow movement in order to create something I've been wanting to do. So welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. If you're just catching the audio, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're here watching the video, welcome. So great to have you. So for those who don't know, I am Cara Michelle. I'm a holistic mindset coach and a quantum healer, and I am wildly passionate about mindset, spirituality, and really just like tapping into our truth as limitless beings, showing up in the world in a really empowered, confident, and aligned way of being. And so I really want you to stop just trying to survive and get by and to truly thrive, to truly rise up, to know your worth, to tap into all of your gifts, all of your potential, and really start to make the difference that you're meant to make in the world from this place. So I am very passionate about the releasing work, the deep healing work, the mindset reprogramming work, all of these really powerful and potent tools that I've learned over the last decade of basically making personal development my day job and my main focus. And so I'm really excited and keen and eager to be bringing all of these different things to you, to be sharing a lot of vulnerable truths and personal experiences, as well as like the downs and the hardships, as well as the ups and the things that allowed me to transform and allowed me to elevate and get to where I am today. So when we really step back into our truest alignment, we can change the world. Like, we can really make the biggest impact possible. And that's what I'm here to hopefully inspire and empower you to do, is to release and start thriving, to release and start giving back and building and creating and amplifying, and really just ultimately creating such a beautiful shift, not only in your own life, but for those around you, in the collective, and on the mass global scale. So yes, here we are. So welcome to my karmic crew, my fam of heart-centered beings, people who are ready to release their limitations, who are ready to lead with love, who are ready to start thriving in their careers, their relationships, with their money, and with their lifestyle in general. And so with that said, let's dive in. And today, for the very first episode, I felt like I should really, or I shouldn't, I don't have to should anything. I will catch and course correct myself anytime this happens. So don't go shitting on anyone. You just get to do. You get to. So on the first episode here, I get to talk about releasing and talk about the importance of this. And I want to talk about this because it's something that so many people try to dismiss and try to kind of brush under the rug and ignore. And I get it. I was one of those people for quite a long time, and I wasn't really interested in like doing the releasing work. I wasn't interested in looking at my patterns, looking at my traumas. So many of us, we cringe when we hear the word trauma and we try to avoid it, and yet every single one of us has trauma of some sort. Okay, so I tried to avoid the trauma. I tried to avoid looking at my mindset. I was probably one of the most skeptical people when I heard, very successful people talk about mindset, and it's the power of your mind, and you can achieve anything if you can get your mind to it, right? And whatever that quote is, because I totally butchered it again, as I always do. But I was such a skeptic, which is why it's really cool for me now to see how far I've come in this journey and in this unraveling and uncovering, because I would have dismissed anything about mindset in the past and thought that it was just like an easy way for someone to, make me take accountability when the world was out to get me or to try to tell me that it's in my control or it's up to me to fix it when I wasn't ready to hear that yet. So I didn't really believe in the power of the mind. And so, all these different things that kept hitting me, and I'll get into that as we go here today, these things that continue to pile up and continue to make a really big impact, a really big dent, until we start facing them and until we start releasing. So my favorite way to look at it, and I talk about this with my clients all the time, is to imagine that you're wearing a backpack, and every single time over the course of your life, whether you're 15 and you're listening to this, or you're 55, or you're somewhere in between, or you're just like me, you honestly don't remember how old you are, wherever you are in your life, imagine that you have a backpack, and that for all of the times where you felt like you weren't good enough, or you felt unworthy, or you felt, self-doubt and these limiting beliefs, or you had moments of trauma and extreme pain and grief and heartache, imagine all of these as individual rocks going in your backpack. As you can imagine, your backpack's probably pretty fucking heavy because we just keep piling it on. And so we keep having these experiences that not only cause this kind of like potentially physical damage, most likely definitely emotional damage, very much so energetic damage as well. What are the other ones? Physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, definitely a lot of mental damage, right? And I don't mean damage as in you're damaged goods, but I just mean damage as in like this is heavy stuff that's hitting us and it's weighing us down, and we keep collecting it. And if we don't realize or learn how to release, then we're continuing to carry it. We're continuing to store this kind of trauma or this kind of pain or these kinds of emotions and hurt. And they perpetuate, they show up. They not only weigh us down, but they continue to cycle through. And so one of the biggest things I've learned on my own personal healing journey is just the importance and the power of this kind of releasing work, because the more we start to uncover and the more we can kind of like pull those blindfolds off and start looking at what's behind them and uncovering these things, and not only seeing the root cause of a lot of our problems and a lot of our suffering, but realizing that it doesn't have to have the amount of power over us as we're probably currently giving it. Being able to see it from this different lens brings so much freedom and so much peace. And so it's in this releasing work that we truly can find freedom and we can start to thrive. And so that is my ultimate goal and wish for humanity in general. It makes me emotional to think about it, because if we can each work on ourselves and work on finding this kind of freedom, this kind of peace, this kind of unconditional love, it would change the world. So this is your little permission slip, as my friend Charlie would say. This is your permission slip to be a little bit selfish and to realize that prioritizing yourself, your needs, your mental, physical, emotional, spiritual health is only going to do good for those around you. And I'll get into this on future episodes, probably very much so as a recovering people pleaser and an empath and a very intuitive, heart-centered being, as I'm sure so many of you listening to this are as well, or watching this are as well. That ability, to prioritize ourselves can be really challenging, because we're afraid that it's going to make us selfish, or it means like we don't care about what's going on around us in the world. But I promise you, the more you can fill your own cup, the more you're going to be able to actually operate from overflow and give back and, really provide, really nurture, really share that love and that positivity around. Because if you're carrying that backpack that I've been talking about, how good are you to the people around you? Like, there's only so much you can give. There's only so much you can do when you're carrying the weight of all that stuff, which is why not only is it like your opportunity, but it's kind of your duty to figure that out and to heal it, to release it, to overcome it and move forward. If you really truly want to be of service to the planet and be able to step into your highest self and, really go from where you currently are to where it is you want to be and make that impact or whatever, we've got to let go of that backpack. So throughout the process of this Release to Thrive podcast, I'm going to be sharing so many different tools along the way of things that have helped me, things that I share with my clients, things that really have the power to transform and shift your consciousness, to shift the way you see yourself, and to shift what it is you're continuing to carry. So some of this might be new. Some of these concepts might be a little bit out there potentially. It might feel strange. That's totally fine. If anything doesn't resonate, let it go. That's chill. It's all good. I won't mind. But if it does, be prepared for a lot of powerful shifts that can come your way and that will come your way from doing this work. And also be prepared for the fact that it's going to get a little bit messy before it gets really clear and, this. Before you get here, you got to go down here, okay? You got to go through the trenches. You don't got to, but you can, and it'll help you. So I highly recommend taking all of this work with a grain of salt and being very kind to yourself in the process. I will obviously share that as I go as well with the different tips and tools of what you can expect. But I just know for myself, and the reason all of my healing work started was because of a lot of really heavy things that happened back to back over the course of four or so years. And in doing the work after that, it was very emotional. I've talked with clients who are like, I swear I probably cried every single day for the last year because of the things I'm unpacking, the things I'm looking at, the way I'm seeing how much I've carried, and the way I see my own, kind of disrespect to myself by how I've treated myself all these years, the emotions I feel because I wasn't loving myself. And this work can be really heavy at times. So I highly encourage you to have a support system in place when you're doing this so that you don't feel like you're going it alone, whether that's just friends or family that you can connect with and share and you feel loved and held by, whether that's joining the Being Karmic community that I've just launched, which I am so excited about. This is another thing that's been 3 years 3 years in the making, because why rush it, So I'm so excited about this new community. It is crazy affordable to join, to be a part of the membership area, to jump on monthly coaching calls with me and trainings, and the VIP option allows you to get a bonus training each month with some really incredible guest experts that I have the pleasure of having in my phone. And so they're going to be jumping on each month too, and I can't wait to bring them to you and bring all of these different tools your way as well. So the community, I'll have that link down below. If you want to join that, that's a great place for extra support and connection with like-minded people who are also doing the work and who are also on a similar path, really wanting to find freedom and to break free and feel liberated, feel aligned, feel passionate and fulfilled by their life again. So I would love to have you in there if that feels resonant to you. Or else hiring a coach or going to a therapist if you need, whatever you feel will benefit you, but just know that you don't have to go through this healing work alone. And so if the releasing ever gets too heavy, which again, I'm not going to go crazy deep on here, but I am going to provide a lot of things that will allow you to take it as deep as you like and to really dive into that self-reflection or to bring in these tools and shifts. So I just wanted to share that so that nobody ever feels alone in this process. And again, there are multiple people to reach out to, multiple avenues to work with me and have my support as well, which again are linked down below. So with all of that said, where do we go from here? I think like what's such a really interesting thing about the human experience is that we all go through some very similar things and yet some very different things. I know when I was growing up, I kind of felt like, as we all do probably, I kind of felt like the only one who was going through what I was going through at that time. I know like a lot of my friends would have had anxiety and insecurities, whether we knew what it was. Again, at that time, I don't think anxiety was really labeled when I was younger. So it wasn't until I was like in my teens that I realized like, oh my gosh, I have a major anxiety problem that's showing up in all of my competitive sports. It's showing up in class, in my school. It's showing up with my friendships and my fear of like socializing, this constant worry about being judged. And it was so intense, but we didn't have labels for it. So I don't know if I really knew that anyone else felt that way. And for me, I just thought this was normal because it was all that I knew. So having this overthinking brain constantly in the fear and the negativity and the what ifs and these downward spirals was just normal to me. So I just kind of figured that that's my life. This is what it is. As well as the insecurities. I think I just assumed that those were normal to, hate the person that I saw in the mirror and to only see flaws and to, never feel good enough at anything, no matter how great I was doing. It's just wild. And so often we feel alone in these things and we continue to carry them, add them to our backpack, and often wear it with silence, right? And no one else really knows what's going on. Then you add on moments of trauma. And I'm going to preface this by saying that the T word doesn't have to be crazy intense trauma. We all have traumas. And these are just like moments of pain and sadness and wounding. And so there were moments in my childhood where something that sounds as simple as like, my dad not being there when I needed and really wanted him to, or getting in trouble by my mom for something, like to a child and a developing child, that is traumatic. And there's this audiobook, one of my favorite authors, all about self-image psychology and subconscious reprogramming, Dr. Maxwell Maltz. He talked about, something as simple. Again, I put this here, the little quotes, the little air quotes for those listening who can't see it. Simple is in air quotes because to a child it's not simple. But the example that Dr. Maltz was giving was, a child at church who was speaking and his grandma kind of like smacked him on the side of the head a little bit, like not crazy hard, but kind of just like hit him because he was like, quiet, be quiet. And that is extremely traumatic to a child. And so he ended up having these different traumas and, worries and fears around speaking up because to him, speaking up was a bad thing. And so as you're listening to this, I invite you to look at like, are there any patterns in your life that you can actually trace back to your childhood, to these moments, right? I had a lot of feelings like my voice didn't matter. And if I look at that with a lens and like through the looking glass, I can see that, it's because there were a lot of times where I did speak up. I used to talk so much as a kid. And even as like, I don't know, 8 years old, 10 years old, I was like super chatty with my best friends and people I felt really comfortable with. But I can see these moments in time where I was kind of dismissed or what I said got kind of like shut down really quickly by my brother, just older brother problems, or my parents or friends or teachers, or where it just kind of felt like it wasn't received. And that was crushing because it was just like that immediate feeling of like, oh, I guess what I had to say doesn't matter. And so maybe I shouldn't even say anything next time, right? Maybe it's not worth me speaking up at all. And these traumas, whether they're a little trauma or a big trauma, it's all the same. It creates a really big energetic imprint and a really big emotional and mental imprint that we continue to carry with us as we get older until we do this releasing work and until we look at it. And so, really realizing that there are probably so many moments in your life, in your upbringing, that you can start to unpack and start to question and look at from a different perspective. And so one of the most powerful mindfulness things that helped me transform and start my whole journey was to start questioning my beliefs and looking at, why do I feel like my voice doesn't matter? Okay, I can trace it back to this time and this time, all these experiences, but are those ultimately true? Ouch. Hitting my hands on the table. I'm trying so hard not to hand talk. Are those moments actually true? They're not. Like, is that a true reflection that everything I say is worthless? No, not at all. It just means that maybe at that time someone was busy, or maybe at that time I was goofing around and I went a little bit too far and someone wasn't impressed by it and they told me to be quiet, right? It doesn't mean that my voice doesn't matter or that I never have anything important to say. It was a very situational experience. Unfortunately, the way our brains work is that they carry on to these situational experiences and they then believe them as truth, and then we reflect and we project and we find more of it. So the more you start to feel a certain way, the more you're actually literally training your brain to find proof of that belief. So for years, without me knowing it, I was training myself to find proof of how my voice didn't matter. So now I'm on one of my competitive soccer teams and I say something, because I'm kind of timid now because of all these beliefs I've created. And I finally say something, I finally speak up, and then I see a couple of the girls kind of give each other a dirty look or a smirk or something. And it my brain is searching for proof that my voice doesn't matter. And so I immediately pick up on that and I go, oh my gosh. And it's just ah. Just another knife in the gut, because I'm why? And then you get into that cycle of either trying too hard and really just trying and desperately wanting that approval, or fully shutting down. And so I think for me personally, it became that fully shutting down of I'm just not going to really say anything then. I'm just going to start to think of myself a lot smaller, feel a lot smaller, show up a lot smaller. And this is what continues to reflect around me in the world. And so coming back around from this long ramble, I really invite you to look at these patterns, look at things that you can be releasing right now. Honestly, if you're a journaler or you're down to put in some extra effort for bonus points, I would highly recommend journaling this out, writing out these different things that are maybe still showing up in your life, these beliefs that have been created, and start looking at, are these ultimate truths, and what can I work on releasing? What can I let go of right now? Because this is where we come into the thriving, the realizing that you are an empowered, sovereign being. You have the ability to overcome, to shift, to let go of absolutely anything that you want to. You don't have to identify by anything. You don't have to listen to or believe all of those stories. You don't have to let the past continue to dictate how you see yourself. You are empowered and strong and bigger than all of that shit, all of that noise. So let it go, right? Make a different decision. Choose the new path. Start to reaffirm and see yourself in this new self-image. And obviously there's more to it than just that, but this is the starting point, is literally just making the decision. To decide in Latin means to cut off. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on it. There's one thing you're going to learn from these podcasts is that I always say the quotes wrong. I have the best intentions, but it just doesn't come through. It's I make my own version. So I'm pretty sure to decide in Latin means to cut off or to kill. Yeah, to kill, because it means you're killing the other option. If you've got two paths in front of you and you're like, I don't know which path to choose. Which way do I go? Oh, I'm so confused. You're stuck. You're just struggling. You're just like, you're like, yeah, I don't know. That's it. That's it. That's all. So when you decide, you've killed off another option. Whether you choose A or B doesn't really matter, but you're making a decision in one direction, which is going to kill off the other one, at least temporarily. I mean, it could always come back. It could always be there in a new way, right? But do you know what I mean? And so when you are listening to this right now, you have the opportunity to decide to let go of the old way of being, or let go of some of the things you're still carrying that you realize are not helping or serving you. You have the chance to let go of the self-image that you've created and the way you see yourself, the way you interpret yourself, the things you believe about yourself. You have the ability to really make that choice to decide to do your healing, to do the releasing, instead of deciding to continue to carry it. And so this is where I come full circle one more time, and then I will wrap up this intro episode. But the thriving really comes from a choice. It comes from the conscious decision to choose something better. That better can always change. It can always evolve and grow. There's always going to be more to do. That's why it's a never-ending lesson here on earth, and that's part of life, right? There's always new levels, new layers to release, new levels to step up, new things to uncover. That's part of the process. But you have the ability right now in this moment to choose something different, to choose something new for yourself, to choose a new story, a new self-image, a new way of showing up. And so what I truly, truly hope for each and every one of you is that you start to choose what would benefit your highest self, you know, like that fully, like full potential version of you who, I mean, I believe you probably know deep down in your heart right now what you dream of doing. And you probably have these big goals and desires, and, you know, it's playing out right now. Actually, just close your eyes and think about this for a second and envision the life that you wish to create, the life that you wish to live. See everything playing out for you like a movie in your mind where, you know, you've got the career and the lifestyle, you've got the abundance to support you in all of your big goals. You know, you've got your beautiful house, wherever that would be, in its dream location. You've got your soulmate or your family, your partner, your kids if you want kids. You've got the freedom, the time freedom, the money freedom. You've got all the love you could ever imagine, right? Who doesn't want to be loved? You've got all of the things, and you've got your personal contentment and joy and fulfillment. You know, just you being there in this moment in your mind feels so fulfilling, and it's exactly what you've always wanted. So you feel this in your body, this energy, this excitement and joy and happiness and bliss from having all of this. And now take a deep breath into this version of you, this vision of your future. And then I invite you to think about who you need to become in order to get there and what you need to let go of. And just welcome in whatever kind of thoughts, experiences, beliefs, whatever comes forward for you from this. What are the things you need to release in order to thrive? What are the things that you're still carrying and holding on to from your lower self that you've got to let go of in order to step into your higher self and really step into alignment with all of these things? And with that in mind, what is like just one step that you can take today to help you do that? Because I want to remind you, it is a lifelong journey. It's not going to happen overnight, although I wish it could. I wish it would. But it's not. Sorry. This is being the bearer of bad news in the middle of your visualization. But it's not all going to disappear when you open your eyes in a few seconds when I tell you to. But what is one thing, one change that you can make to help you right now? What is that one step you can take today to align more with that higher self and step away from your lower self? Is there one belief that you're ready to kick to the curb? Is there one past experience or resentment or frustration you're holding on to a different person for that you can let go of? That you can say, you know what? I'm ready to release this. It doesn't serve me. It's not helping me get where I want to go. And in all honesty, it's kind of just draining me and it's weighing me down and it's not fun. So I'm going to make the conscious decision to let this go. In this moment, I'm choosing to let it go. And so if your eyes are still closed, I invite you to pick that one thing that you want to let go of today and, set a little mental intention of I am now choosing to release, and then fill in the blank with whatever you're ready to let go of. And see this lifting off of your body as if like a cloud of smoke is leaving, and this trauma or this experience or this pain or this belief or this person, whatever you're still holding on to, just see it leaving and releasing and rising above you. And with your intention of what you're choosing to release today, this is an intention you can carry with you throughout the day. I highly recommend that. Just seeing it getting further and further away in the distance and continuing to look at this mind movie, this future version of you. And let this future version of you pull you forward in every day and in every moment if possible. The more you can come into this alignment and get yourself into the energy of this future self, it's going to shift how you show up in the present, and it's going to allow you to keep releasing, to keep letting go of the things that don't match, because your lower self is not a vibrational match to that higher self, to that version you're visualizing right now. And so that is why we get to let it go. We get to rise above. So knowing you can come back to this visualization at any time, knowing that you can tap back into this higher self, this higher timeline, anytime you wish, because you are a conscious creator and you are empowered and you have a lot more power over your life than you maybe realize sometimes. So this is something that is in your toolbox now. This is something you can come back to as much as possible anytime you need it. So feel free to open your eyes if they were still closed and just bring yourself back into the present moment, into the room, into your body. Taking a deep breath in, letting this kind of integrate and settle in with you, and seeing and again maybe repeating that intention to yourself, and then seeing that whatever you're letting go of is no longer here, because it's literally only you who continues to attach to that story. It's like me with my speaking and my voice not mattering, right? Is like when I meet a new person, they don't know that. They don't think my voice doesn't matter, right? And they don't think of, oh my gosh, think of all these past experiences she had. They don't know any of it. And I know for me, I'll get into that on a future episode, but that's what the beauty of travel brought me when I was working through grief and rape and trauma and all these anxieties and insecurities piled on one. Travel brought me the freedom to become a new person. Because as long as I was around, the old people that I grew up with, the people that I identified with in a certain way, who saw me a certain way, that kept me feeling really trapped to that identity and in those patterns. And as I traveled, I realized, wait a minute, I get to be whoever I want to be today. I get to show up however I want to. And that's such a beautiful feeling. And so I could in a moment, just let go of that story and realize, hey, nobody here knows anything about my insecurities around speaking or feeling like my voice doesn't matter. So I'm just going to walk in this room, tap into that higher self, baby. I'm just going to walk in here and I'm going to just go up and talk to someone. And who cares what happens, but I'm going to go do it because I have the choice. I have the ability to be whoever I want to be in any given moment. So this is your clean slate, your new foundation to start making these changes, to connect in each moment, in each day, to your higher self, to who it is you wish to become, and what are the stories or the things you can let go of now to help you keep taking those stepping stones, those little foundational blocks to connect with where it is you want to be, and really allow yourself to step into that place, in a place of freedom, in a place of empowerment and strength and knowing your worth. Okay, so I'm going to leave it here for today. This is all part of the journey. This is all so huge, and I'm so grateful and so excited to have you here because this is going to be so incredible as we continue moving through this and dive into some very specific situations. And I have so many cool things that I can't wait to share. I just literally got chills because I'm so excited for it and so excited for you to be along here on this journey. So thank you so much for being here. If you are watching the video, please give it a thumbs up. Please feel free to share, subscribe. For anyone, audio or video, please share if you think this can help anyone you know. The more people we can get these messages out to, the better. And I just want to serve. I just want to help as much as I can. So that would be incredible. And then lastly, again, if you want to join a community and have support and monthly training calls with me, as well as be inside our private community and our app where you can connect with me at any time, then check out the link down below for the Being Karmic community, which again, I'm so excited about. And I cannot wait to see some of your beautiful faces in there. And then with that said, let's sign off of this. And I truly hope from the bottom of my heart that you are walking away right now with a better connection to who it is you want to be, feeling hopefully a little bit lighter of who you thought you were and who you were continuing to show up as or feeling trapped as maybe. And I also hope you're seeing the importance of releasing and realizing that you've carried this backpack for way too long, my friend, and now is the time to start releasing, to start taking those rocks out and leaving them. Thank you for the lesson, thank you for all that you brought me, but peace. It's time to go. This is what we get to do, and the more we do this, the lighter we become, the lighter we feel. Honestly, this is the best work. This is the best thing I've ever dedicated any time, money, or energy to in my life, was myself, and really learning how to clear out these things, because the baggage I was carrying was really heavy and kept me very stuck for a long time, created physical pain, chronic pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain, a lot of mental pain because this thing was crazy for a long time because of all the stories and the overthinking and the anxieties and the way I was attaching to my trauma. So there was a lot of pain. And I'll get into that on a future episode of our pain body and how we hold these things and store it. But this is just the start. So realizing that the releasing work is going to bring you that freedom. It's going to help you start to thrive. So you're no longer in survival, but you just get to thrive and you get to show up fully. So thank you so much for being here. So much love to you, and I will see you on the next episode.